Well, in my last video I was building a kiln, and I asked for input and suggestions on how to heat it up and keep it hot. Got really good feedback off of that, and I think I've got my plan down pat to what I'm wanting to do. I'm going to use a thermostat of some sort to turn on and off the heat source, and a lot of good suggestions on that. I really appreciate everybody helping me out with that. But I also mentioned on there that I've got a craft show coming up in it's next month. I've got about a month left before then. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do some beer mugs, or excuse me, wooden tankards in this craft show. And if you remember, I did a wooden tankard video back last August, which was this one right here, and it was it's 12 ounce. Okay, I told everybody how I went and through conversions and things like that on the internet. I found out how many cubic inches it takes, and then I just I figured out how big the cup needed to be to hold 12 ounces. Worked great until the end of the video, where I was pouring my favorite beverage, and the head bubbled out and it began spilling. It does hold 12 ounces, but also I finished this thing with paraffin. It's just Gulf wax that you buy like at the grocery store or whatever, and people use it for canning food and stuff like that. And yes, paraffin is food safe. Okay, I've had people say, you know, that it's not food safe, but why would they use it in canning if it's not food safe? Why is it sold in the grocery store in the canning section if it's not food safe? It's paraffin wax. I mean, they coat candy with it. So, but anyway, I'm not going to get into that argument. Anyway, this thing's still waterproof. It is, and it still holds water, and absolutely full. So the paraffin worked great. Thing is, the paraffin, you don't want to use hot water with it. If you use hot water, it can soften up and make this thing start leaking. So I'm probably going to take that video down and not use it anymore. I'm going to make a new one, and I'm going to do that today with these. The new and improved Ogle's version of a wooden tankard. It's called Tankards. It's not a stein because it's made out of wood. If it's made out of wood, it's not a stein. Steins are made out of some type of stoneware, ceramics or pottery type stuff, whatever, stoneware. But what I've done in here is I've used an epoxy inside, and it is a food grade epoxy. I did a lot of research to find this epoxy, and it is not cheap. It costs about the same as most other epoxies, but by the time you ship it, you're paying almost double the price. So 16 ounces of this epoxy cost me about $40 something to get to my house. But it is food grade. It's used in industrial processes where this epoxy is making food contact. I'm not going to get into an argument about that with anybody. I've been through that, been there, done that, and some people are just hard-headed about it. But this is food grade epoxy, and this mug holds 16 ounces, so I can get a 12 ounce in there and still contain the head pretty much. So, all right, But I'm going to go through this process, and I actually have several that I'm working on right now. So the one I start on may not necessarily be the one you see at the end. So, but I've got several in different stages of completion right now. So anyway, y'all have a good time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we're going to get started right now. Okay, well, what I have here is I call it a mug blank. Okay, it's a piece of oak that I turned down into a rough cylinder. It's about 3.5 inches wide or diameter by 6 inches long. Now 6 inches is going to be the absolute minimum for a pint tankard, or 16 ounces. Okay, so but I've got it turned down. I put it between centers, turned it down, trued it up, and I've got my tenon on there. For 16 ounces on the inside, right here, the inside diameter, you want to be about 2 3/4 inches across. Okay, so I've got my rough turning at 3.5, so I can get 2 3/4 out of the middle. The length is 5 3/4. Okay, so you want it to be 5 3/4 inches deep, 2 3/4 diameter, inside diameter, and that equals right at 16 ounces, thereabouts, depending on how flat the bottom is and things like that. But let's go ahead and get this thing on the lathe. I'm going to mount it up in my chuck. Alright, well, I'm getting ready to bore, and I'm going to bore all the way down to the bottom. But my lathe's minimum speed is around 600 RPMs, which can burn these bits up. So I've got to where I start using a smaller bit and stepping my way up. So I'm going to bore with a 1 inch first, and then I'll switch to a 1.5, and then I'll go to my 2 inch. Okay, so it takes a little more time, but it really is a lot better on your equipment. It's better on your lathe, it's better on your Forstner bits and everything. But I'm just going to get started boring. So the 1 inch first. Now, you may want to catch these shavings here. These shavings come straight from the end grain, okay? Because this is a spindle turn. I'm going through the end grain. That makes really good repair filler. All right. Well, I'm going to keep on going. Boring 1 inch first, then 1.5 inches, and then 2 inches. It's a whole lot better on the tool. It's the 1.5 inch bit. Now the 2 inch bit. All the way down to 5 3/4 inches. Well, this is a good chance for me to show you a gift I just received. Actually yesterday, from Roy Bailey in the UK. The UK. Wow. Sent me a gift. And my depth gauge that I normally use it was a just a piece of plywood with a dowel sticking through it and a screw to lock it down. Well, this is his design here, and he sent this to me because I commented on his Facebook, I believe it was, to begin with, that I really like this thing. He showed me the design, and it's spring loaded. So you push the button and you set your depth that way, and you let go of the button. Hey, it's locked in. It's not going anywhere. And he even put this nice little handle on there. Very nice craftsmanship. Wonderful work, Roy, and I really appreciate you sending this to me, and thank you very much. I asked Roy what he wanted to do if people ask, about buying these or anything like that, and he said, "Look, I'm not getting in the business of selling them, so I'm not going to leave his email or anything. I'm just going to say thank you to him, and I really appreciate it, Roy. Thanks a lot." Now let's use it. I'll measure this against my bit. If I can hold on to 20 different things at the same time. Alright, so I measure it against my bit and mark it back here. 5 3/4. And that way, as I bore, once I get flushed up with this, with my mark, I'm good to go. And I'll keep that depth gauge as a reference. Alright, I'm going to get back to boring, and I'm going to go all the way to that little mark right there. Alright, just getting ready to get started hollowing this out. I've marked 2 3/4 inches, so I just need to hollow to that area right there. Now, I'm going to back this up just a touch. Alright, here we go. That's looking really nice in there. Okay, getting close to sanding. I'm just going to do some cleaning, a little bit of cleaning. Down there on the bottom. Alright, let's see how the cleaning cuts went. Slick little ridge right there. Let's keep going. Alright. Okay. Okay, just getting ready to sand the inside. I'm just going to power sand with an 80 grit. Using my drill. All the way down in the bottom. Let's see how that did. Sweet. Sweet. Haha. Alright. Okay, that's all the power sanding I'll have to do on that. To cut down on a lot of my time that I use on that I use up on the bandsaw cutting my handles, what I've done is I've got this X carve now. I'm going to use the X carve to carve out my handles for me. Basically what this does is it cuts out the standing over at the bandsaw and cutting these things out. But also what it does is it smooths out all my edges around all my edges, where I don't have to spend so much time filing the saw marks out. So this really helps me out a good bit. The only step it really cuts out is the bandsaw. Like I say, I designed my handle in Google SketchUp, saved it as an SVG file, and brought it right into Easel, which is this program right here from Inventables. And basically this program here runs the machine. So I imported this. I imported my handle into Easel, and now I'm just getting ready to cut it out. I've already measured all my thicknesses and all that. I've got my board clamped down, so now all I should have to do, if I want to do two, I just simply copy and paste. I'll just click this and hit copy image, and then I'll paste another one in. But I've already done that, so I'm just going to hit undo. Alright, and I'm going to go to my material, punch in how big it is. All right, that's 5.5 tab, 8.5 tab, 0.59. Enter. All right, and I'll check. All right, 1, 2, 3. Everything's set up. Okay, all I should have to do now is carve it. And click carve. Run the homing cycle. I'm gonna raise the bit. Turn on the spindle. Spindle is on. Start carving. It's going to carve 2. But depending on my material width, I can cut out about 6 of these at a time. Alright, there's my 2 handles. Alright, kind of what I'm looking for here is like a barrel shape, kind of just rounded a little bit here and there. Okay, so found my safety glass, there they are. Alright, so here we go. Up a little bit. Alright, let me see and find my handle. I'm just going to try to do some cool stuff. I don't know. Maybe it'll be cool, maybe it won't. We'll see when I get done. Alright, that looks good. Be right back. Well, I'm just sanding. 100 grit. Or 150, I'm sorry. And also while I was away, I eased this edge over on the inside. I love my dust collector. I love it. Alright, now I can start my decoration. I'm going to do that with, well, I misplaced it. There it is. Heat this up. Well, I'm going to burn it a little bit with propane. The inside. This is where each one becomes individual. Now I've got a couple of cracks here, but if you notice, I haven't repaired any yet. You don't want to do any repairs before you do this. Propane off. Now I'll let that cool down and I'll continue on my sanding.